Well, I'm Ben, Golf Lover UK, as you will recognise my dulcet, slightly Bristolian tones, and I'm joined by a very different accent from the other side of the country, Mr. Billy Gowing. Billy, welcome.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks for having me on.
And for those that don't know Billy, who might not know Billy, you probably will have heard of his betting app, which is Fair Play Exchange. I was promoting it the other day on one of my putting videos, and what happened was how it came about that I found it. So I literally sat in the bar with my mates, and I was sick and fed up of us all saying, let's put a fiver in, let's put a tenner in, and there's always two people that don't have any cash on them. I'm not getting into the politics of cashless society. That's not for today's episode. That's another day.
Let's not get into naming your friends either, mate. We don't want to go down a slippery slope here, do we? Do you know what I mean?
Both of them.
Keep your friends.
Yeah, but both friends. And people don't often have money on them. And I said, I just wish there was a way of doing this online rather. And then literally my friend said to me, well, have you heard about this thing, this new thing? He said, I've not looked at it, but apparently mates can place bets. And that's how I found Fair Play Exchange. And me being me, I reached out to Billy to find out more. So Billy, thank you for solving my problem. And tell us, how did it come about? Why did you solve this problem? How did your vision become what has now become a quite a successful, fast-growing betting app?
Yeah, cheers, Ben. Pretty much similar scenario to what you guys had in the pub. So we play a lot of golf, me and my mates, big group of us, local swindle, club we're all a member at. And every Saturday there'd be our usual game, about 20 odd players going out. And, we'd have a wager on it. Tenors in the middle, and then we'd split that up between the winner, second place, third, fivers for par threes, and loads of side games going on. And every week we'd be going around trying to organise collecting the money. Half of the group never had cash, and it just sort of rendered the whole bet and wagers completely void because there just wasn't enough money in the pot to go around. And me and two of my best friends at the time, we was playing together, and we just said there must be an app online that does this. And lo and behold, there wasn't. So we went away and started sort of brainstorming how this would work. And it was just, we like to have a bet on anything, whether it's, game of snooker, game of darts, sitting in the pub, having silly bets. And yeah, that's where it all came from, really. Just a group of pals trying to get bets on with their mates, and no one ever carrying cash.
Mate,
well, people don't carry cash. Sorry, Mark. Go on. They don't carry cash anymore.
It's huge. Yeah, like the idea that you can quite literally bet on anything. Because what fascinates me about like startups like this is that they can sound, if it's not pitched right, if it's not dialed in terms of the branding, and if you've not nailed the name down, something so simple can almost sound a little bit trite. It can sound a little bit, well, what's the point in that? But actually, the way that you've positioned it, the way that you've named it, the way that you've put the fair play wording in there, it's really interesting positioning, because you can just go and get smashed down the pub and have a laugh. You can bet on anything. Who can do the most beer mat flips? You can have a bet on that. But you can also see this like at the club. You can see it at your golf club. You can see comps being run on this, side bets being run, societies being run on this sort of stuff. So how's the reception been across the board? Like, what type of people are you attracting with this product?
Yeah, I mean, so I think we were crunching some numbers the other day, and 75% of our activity has been based around golf. I mean, you guys know there's big, I'd say, gambling culture around golf, but it's more having that bragging rights where it's not necessarily about winning a fiver, but you want to win your mate's fiver. You want to take that money off your pal, and it's that bragging rights, and kind of it goes hand in hand with golf, right? So yeah, we see quite a bit of our bulk in golf. We've seen quite a lot of fantasy football bets. So start of the fantasy league season, you've got 20 of your mates, and you all say, let's put a tenner in. End of the season, winner takes all. Nobody ever pays up, and again, it's that same scenario where you're not getting the money out. So we've seen quite a lot of fantasy groups and sort of weekly fantasy bets as well. And obviously you see, Arsenal and Tottenham fans saying who's going to finish above each other and stuff like that. So there's a lot of one-upmanship against your mates on the app.
I think what's interesting there, and I want to, for people who might not quite understand how this works, let's just run through the idea. So the idea being, you, Mark, and I, we've all got, ignore golf for a minute, which is easier to understand. You, Mark, and I, we've got 3 fantasy football teams. We want to place a 50 quid bet each to see who's going to finish the highest. We go into the app. We create the market and the competition. So we'd create Ben, Billy, and Mark Fantasy Football League. We select the 3 people that are going to take part. We select the stake and how much the winner gets. And you just create
Exactly right.
yourself.
Yeah, so I mean, simplest way to put it is it's just a communal wallet to replace cash betting. So the app holds the money in there for you, and then at the end of the season, Ben wins, and we just administer the money over to your account, and then you can withdraw it just like a normal betting account.
Yeah, it's
How far
interesting.
did you have
I said to my friend the other day about it. And he said, "Oh, I didn't know you could use it for sports. I've been using it for poker." So, like,
Yeah,
my mate's been
it's
using
another
it for
good
3
use
months
case.
for poker.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We get a lot of private poker games on there. Yeah, it's another great user case. Just it's another way where people just aren't carrying cash anymore.
How far did you have to go with the compliance side? Because betting is notoriously challenging from a technical standpoint. You've got the whole PCI compliance area to go through. You've got ID verifications. Obviously, you've got the better way stuff to go through, and everything around that. Because this is a user-generated betting market, essentially. How far did you have to go? Did you have to go as far as like a Bet365, or were the concessions? Like, tell us a little bit about that. I'm fascinated by that.
Yeah, so certainly the biggest barrier to entry was getting completely compliant and regulated with the UKGC, which is the gambling authority in the United Kingdom. And yeah, that was a terribly stressful time for me because it was, whether or not we was going to get this off the ground relied on us getting these licenses. So it took us, I think, 2 years in total from the start of the application to getting it approved. So I had to get a personal gambling license myself, and then Fair Play has a sort of combined remote encompassing license which covers everything. But yeah, I mean, the UKGC are very stringent in their measures, so yeah, there's a lot of hoops to jump through and a lot of you have to prove to them. But luckily, through a lot of hard work, we managed to get that license. And the next thing is just making sure that you stay within the parameters of what they tell you can and can't do. So, compliance is my side of things within the company, and the license is such a great asset for us. We have to, look after it with everything we can.
Yeah, that's interesting, mate. My background is product building software and startup background, and I've took software from startup through to exit, and that is such a difficult journey to go on. One thing I'm fascinated by, because you've got a really fascinating inbuilt type of audience, which is, if you think about most startups, it's like, okay, here's product market fit. Okay, here's a product that is targeting this market. You're solving a problem which exists, but actually it can fit so many different markets. We've talked about sports, we've talked about poker. It could quite literally create your own market and really, really broaden the use cases, which is as dangerous as it is exciting, because you could go out there and try and be everything to everyone, or you can really focus in and try and target some verticals. Like, how have you grown this thing? What markets did you target to start with? Where did you decide to start with that growth?
It's certainly golf, where it, the idea was born on a golf course. And me and my friends, the guys who I started the business with, we bet, all the time. We play a lot of golf, and that's who we really went after. We went after golfers. We did sort of a few partnerships. We got involved with a couple of influencers. Put on a few golf days. Got involved with a few local clubs. To start off with, it was pretty much, a few of the local golf clubs around Essex, just speaking to the management, speaking to the swindles, seeing what they thought. Would you use this app? Is it going to make your life easier? A lot of people said yes. You get a lot of pushback as well, because naturally some of the older lads, they're like, I've still got a roll of 50s on me, you know what I mean? So it was just always going to start with golf because we knew the betting market was there, and we knew people were going to use this because we saw it every week for so long. And the older boys in our swindle, they used to go mental at us because anyone under the age of 30, just none of us had cash. Like, we'd never do it, and all of that awkwardness of, I'll transfer you and I'll owe you for next week. Like, no one ever pays up on that, and no one ever chases you for it. So it all just gets lost in it.
It's always it's a pain. And like my brother-in-law Alan, and he's a meticulous organizer, and he's a really calm bloke. Like, anyone who's spent time with me and Alan knows, of the two brother-in-laws, I'm not the calm one. But if you want to rile him right up, don't bring a fiver on a Sunday. If you want to rile him up, he sent 7 messages to the group for the last 10 days. Don't forget your fiver. Don't forget your fiver. Don't forget your fiver. And then comes Sunday, when fiver's in, there's 3 people that paid. That's the only time you'll see him lose his temper. So you're saving the world's calmest man from ever having to lose his temper. But you're right. It's at Bristol, we don't have rolls of 50 with us. We have rolls of 10s and 5s. Essex got a bit more cash knocking around. But like silly things, like I go and watch a bit of live cricket, and one of the things I love to do is like, and we don't do it because someone's got to write it down, so you don't bother. Which is like, how many runs before the first wicket? If there's how many of you? Let's say there's 5 or 6 of us going, and we all stick a tenner in. You can have loads of £1 bets over the day, can't you? A £1 on when the first wicket falls, 2 to 5 runs, 6 to 8 runs, whatever it might be. How many wickets? Who's going to get the most wickets? More. How many more courts and bowls? Whatever it might, dismissals, whatever it might be. You can set any of that, right?
Exactly that. I mean, so me and the guys in the office, we went to the BMW PGA Championship at Wentworth, and we plotted up all day on a par 3, and we just bet on how many balls were going to land on the green. So whoever was going first could pick how many balls were going to. So obviously they're playing in 3 balls. So I'd say, like, looking at the 3 ball, professional golfers, 3 are going to hit. The next person could choose whether they had 0, 1 or 2, and we've just literally all day betting on who was going to land on the green, and then we was betting on who was going to make the putt. And, exactly that, just little £1 bets all day long. And because the app's been built in a way where it's so quick to use and, it's seamless, you can just keep repeating those bets all day long. And, at the end of the day, no one was coming out with loads of money. It was just like £1 or £2 changing hands here and there. But that's what betting should be about, fun with your mates and enjoying it. No one's going to get striped up on our app because it's against your friends, and we only see small stakes really, like 10s, 15, 20 quids sometimes, but it's just all about having a laugh with your mates and taking 1 or 2 quid off them on silly bets.
That's the beauty of it, I think, is that and I think that this is perhaps why it fits so nicely with golf as well, that there's a bit of an honour system in play. Golf's a very honest game if you're wanting to play it how it's intended to be played, and it feels like this, as you say, you're not going to attract people that are going to want to take you for a ride. No one's going to want to rinse anyone just because it is your friends and you're building your own markets out there. When it comes to building something like this, you've got to pick your battles. You've got to say, right, okay, here's the thing that we're building first. Here's the thing that we'd love to build now, but actually that might be a year out. Like, what's the next year? What's the next 2 years look like in terms of features, in terms of what you're going to be doing with Fair Play Exchange?
Yeah, definitely. Like, exactly what you said there is so true, Mark. Like, you have to build the core functionality of it before you put all the bells and whistles on, right? So what we've got now is essentially our minimum viable product, and we're currently looking at new features now. The next step and phase that we're sort of planning and going to begin to build soon is a sort of sweepstake function. So that classic thing, Grand National, you come around the office and you've got your tenors, and you end up putting in tenors for people that are working for you and that. So, a sweepstake function where you can easily, set them up, distribute them in a way where Fair Play can set up sort of open public sweepstakes. So, say when April comes around, Masters is coming on, we'll just set up Fair Play Masters sweepstake. You can buy in a ticket, and then we'll just give everyone the algorithm will give everyone a random player. So it's sort of giving you an interest in it rather than, some people obviously spend ages analysing who is going to go well around Augusta and whatnot and who's a good price. But on our new sweepstake feature, you'll just be given a random player and then that's your player to cheer on.
That's huge. The sorry to jump in, Ben. That really is interesting as well, because you've got, like, my club will send an email around saying, right, master sweepstake, send me a tenner via the bank and bank transfer it, and we'll wait until everything's done, and then we'll spreadsheet it up and we'll send it all out. So the ability for clubs to be able to create their own sweepstakes and be able to run what is actually quite a significant part of their business. You know, a lot of pro shops are trying to build revenue through so many different streams that they want the sweepstakes every week. They're running comps, obviously, as we know, but everything is moving towards how do we generate additional revenue that is not based on product, it's not based on the weather, insofar as tea times and selling lessons and whatever else. So I really like that idea. I think it's an interesting way to get the pro shops interested, because if you can get those guys, if you can get each pro, each club advocating for this, suddenly the trickle down's huge, isn't it? You just get every member using it.
Of course, and it's a huge acquisition tool for us. Hopefully, when it launches, even going back to the Grand National user case, 40 horses, you get 10 offices involved. That's 400 users straight off the bat. So it's just another way that hopefully we can start building up this audience and user base.
I suppose it's something as well that people can offer on behalf of the people. So we could set up the Golf Lovers United podcast master sweepstakes. So we could set one up and invite our users to come in and participate and whatever else. It's a very clever thing. And those that want to do unique bets with themselves on whether John Rahm will finish higher than Brooks Koepka can do that. But then if you want to go into partake in just buy a ticket in the sweepstake, you've got that easy option too.
Exactly.
I think when we first spoke that one of the things that so Jay's not with us today. Obviously, Jay's the other host. He lives in America, but Mark and I both have startups and scale ups, and Mark's transitioned and sold as well and things like that. So Mark and I really like the business side of golf, and we've got a guy called Colin Landforce coming on in a couple of weeks' time. Colin's like the number one sort of guru in how to build brands by going and finding suppliers for, be it gloves, tees, bags, whatever it might be. And this business podcast actually is like business tag-on podcast, something that Mark and I are quite passionate about because of our love of business. And I think you epitomise what we love about this. You've seen a problem, you fixed it. It's related to golf, which is why it's on here. But it's not always easy. So while you've overcome things and it's doing great and you're just gaining users, what were the tough things? Was it all around the gaming license stuff? Have there been other things that have been difficult?
That was particularly difficult. Probably one of the biggest barriers to entry for us. Believe it or not, a big headache was getting a bank account, because they automatically, the banks weren't necessarily interested in hearing too much from us, but as soon as you tick the box of gambling, they knock you back for a bank account. So I almost had to really try and get my face in front of a bank manager to say, look, I need to open an account for my business. And although technically we have a gambling license, it's not necessarily we're not a bookmaker. I don't see it as a gambling product necessarily. I think it's more of a financial vehicle to pull people's money in, So yeah, eventually managed to get a bank account, which was difficult. Obviously raising money is exciting, but, very frustrating. Had to go to, you have to get so many knockbacks before you can get someone over the line. And then obviously once you get a bit of momentum, it starts to get a little bit easier. Building the product. So, the actual coding software side of it is out of my realms of competency, but, you have to pick the right partners and pick the right team who can build that product for you, and have to have a lot of trust in them to build what you want to be built and, solve the problem that we're trying to solve. So, yeah, but many different things that have been super stressful, but also super rewarding, So to build something from scratch and get it out there and sort of prove the concept that people are using, and we get great feedback that people really enjoy the product. So it's incredibly rewarding to see.
feels like community is such a big part of this growth as well. It feels as if not only allowing people to build their own communities around things like the sweepstakes in the future, and we three building our own books, and me building books at my club, and you building books at your club, and creating that sense of individual community, but the general bigger picture fair play exchange community. This idea that you're almost creating a movement where we all move forward with this fun aspect of whatever it is that we're into. Is that something that you're trying to focus on as you grow the user base, as you focus on user acquisition?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, at the minute, user acquisition is just the main focus for us. But, what we're seeing quite often is people inviting their friends to the app, which is great for us, right? It's the cheapest way that we're ever going to acquire customers. But, essentially, if you enter the Fair Play app and you haven't got any friends on the app, it's redundant. You can't use it. So you have to go on the app and invite your mates in order to be able to use it. So community is massive for us, and eventually, we've got loads of different aspects that are for the future roadmap that we can hopefully build around, people being able to bet amongst each other in the community. But yeah, for now, the focus is solely just let's build the audience and prove the concept before we start, really driving other features in.
Yeah, that stickiness as well is such an important factor, isn't it? With any kind of app-based product, we found it with our stuff where if we get someone registered and the onboarding is so tight that by the time they've registered and finished that registration, they've created a podcast and maybe even uploaded a trailer, or certainly got to the point where they've put some cover art into the podcast platform, they've put a title for the show in there, they've put a description in, and importantly, they've put their name into it. They feel like they've got some ownership, and the product just became. We did that almost from day one, and the product just became that much more sticky. The churn rate dropped to a really, really low percentage because people, they had some skin in the game. They were invested. It was, okay, here's my thing on this platform. And it feels as if there's a bit of a journey there for you as well, where, okay, let's build the onboarding out. Let's make sure that, okay, one of the things that I do is make sure Ben and Billy are in here with me, and I'm going to chuck a quid at a new user so that they can have a bet with their friends. Whatever. So that's such a fascinating part of this for me, mate. I think how you develop that is going to be really interesting to see. I'm fascinated by all of this.
Yeah, we definitely need to essentially each person that downloads the app, we need them to be a sort of a salesman for us, right? We need them to go out, and that's one reason, I say to the team, like, the customer service for us is absolutely vital because, if someone can't get their account verified for whatever reason, we need to be on hand to tell them, right, we can get this sorted out for you. And, if someone's got a problem withdrawing, we need to be able to, in 10 seconds of their email coming through, we need to go back to them and let them know there's someone on the end of the line, because ultimately you're building trust with your audience and trust with your user base. And like I said before, we need each user to be a salesman for us and go out and shout about, oh, this new app's great, it's really easy to use, and if you do have any issues, they're straight away sorting it out for you.
That is so vital, man. And I think a lot of startups get that wrong. I think especially when you consider, like, in startup world, everyone's like a CEO, which sounds like you're Bill Gates or Steve Jobs, and it's always it's a little bit bullshitty, isn't it? And I always find that
it's rubbish.
It's mental, and the idea, and I even still do this. Like, we've created startups, we've sold startups, and even the one that I still work on now as part of the bigger business, like, I still do support, because especially with the most angry people, because they present such an opportunity. If you can give them the best experience, and if you can say to them, look, I'm Billy, I'm the founder, this is what I do, I've sorted you out. They become evangelists, they become advocates, and they will, until they simply die, they will tell everyone how good you are. And it's so many people get that wrong. So that is so refreshing, dude. I think that's a very powerful way of doing it.
I'm literally, on the weekends, I'm refreshed. I'm sitting on CMS the back end all day, just constantly refreshing it, seeing what's going on, and I'm sitting there, I'm getting involved with the admin, I'm constantly, going back to customers. We've got an in-house team of people here, but I feel like it's important, exactly as you just said, that I get involved in that, and no one's too big here to muck in and do the admin and the customer service, because it's a fluid environment where everyone's got to be able to do a bit of everything.
I think it's so key, and again, without harping on about it, we found exactly the same over what we're doing, and with our onboarding, we actually found an element of gamification really helped. So as users went through, things turned green. It gave a bit of fun and experience to buy into it, and I think it's very different on how you do it, but it's nice having three people doing three very different things, but having all the same problems and successes. I think, Billy, the one thing I want to pick up on there is that community side. You talked about Orange and golf days, and I think that's a really big thing, because if you have a golf day in, I'd just say Manchester, Leeds, Birmingham, one in Essex, one in North London, one in South London, I'll do that one for you. That's my only impression I got, mate. And one in Bristol. And then you're doing that, and you're having the Fair Play Exchange series. You're creating, if you're getting 70, 80 people to each of those events, you're creating those users. It's a fantastic way of driving it, isn't it? And I think hopefully over the summer we can see a load more events and people just coming on board. And I know we got the GLU code. What's the GLU code get people again, Billy? Why don't you tell people?
So if the guys sign up to the app and just put in the promo code on sign up, GLU, we'll put a £5 free bet in your account, and you can test out the app, have a play with your friends, and challenge your mates to something.
I lost that last night doing that putting video with Prev. I lost £5 to him straight away. My first bet, done, gone.
That's why you need those video lessons with Prev, mate. So don't be betting when you're getting taught. This is like putting 101.
Yeah, we got five more lessons in the series. By the time this comes out, we'll probably be about lesson 5, I think, probably. We've got 5 more lessons in the series, and there's a tic-tac-toe in each one. So as Prev said, he's going to be 30 quid up.
That is easy money. That's the easiest money I've ever seen. I love that. That's hilarious.
Is Prev a bit of a player then?
He's a pro, yeah. He's a pro, and he's a teacher. So he's a good mate of mine. He's building up his Instagram channel to do some coaching and this, that, and the other. Really good bloke. And like I said, well, no one else is doing. So as you saw the video I sent you last night. That we're the only people in the world who are doing a winter outdoors nighttime putting series. There's no one else doing that.
That's because it's freezing.
You invented it first to do it.
Yeah, and last,
Billy,
I imagine.
This has been awesome, Billy. Thank you so much, man. The next thing I want to do is make sure everyone gets hold of Fair Play Exchange. I'm assuming it's Google App Store, it's the Play Store. Sorry, it's iOS. I've downloaded it myself on iOS, but available on all the app stores just by searching Fair Play Exchange.
That's exactly right. Yeah, available on App Store and Google Play. It's completely free to download. We don't take no cut or commission on the bets. It's free to use. Free to download. So no reason not to get involved and have a bet with your mates.
I love it. You can get that at fairplayexchange.co.uk as well. This has been fantastic, Billy. Thank you for joining us, and to everyone out there.
Thanks for having me.
Get over there and get that app downloaded, and let's create some sweepstakes and start having a little bit of fun.